Hey guys, and welcome to my Adobe Premiere Pro CS3 tutorial series. Now this will show you all the basics you need to know to start using Adobe Premiere Pro. It won't show you too many effects and stuff, but just the very basics so you can get started. Over here on the top, it'll show you the recent projects. So that's an easy way to access the latest 5 projects which you've just last been to. So I like this, it's really good. You can also create a new project. You can open a project manually, and there's a help section. Now let's just go new project. Alright, here we are at the new project window. You have available presets here, and they're drop down menus, so you can look through these. Now you have to figure out what your footage is. So if it's in high definition, you go HDV, find what yours is. So in my case it'll be HDV 1080i, and that's what I'll choose. But if you're just using DV, if you're in America or most other countries, NTSC, and either widescreen or standard, so you pick what you want. You can also make your own. Make sure you haven't got any selected, and then go custom settings. Here you can change the editing mode, and let's just change this to desktop, because and 25 frames. Now I've noticed when you do that, you can change the frame size. So example 640 by 480, that's a standard size that you usually upload for YouTube. Yep, NTSC. So I usually leave these settings. This is pretty good for YouTube. And also the video rendering, you can just change this to what you want. I usually pick H264 and million plus of colors. And this is where you can change how many tracks, video and audio tracks there'll be. You can change those later on, don't worry, but it's better to get them all there before you start. Now you can save this preset or just use it. Let's save it, and you just say whatever you want, new preset. Then if you go back to the load preset, under custom, you'll see your new one. So you just select it, type a name for your project, so new project, and hit OK. Now I've already got one called new project, but I'll override it. Alright, here we are at the Adobe Premiere Pro CS3 interface. As you can see, it looks a bit complicated, maybe a bit scary at first because you don't know what to do, but don't worry, that's not as hard as it looks. Now I'm going to just show you what the 5 elements are. We have the project area. Now this is where you store all the files, and you'll have them in a list here. And you can also create folders and organize them, but I'll show you that in a minute. Here is the source footage, so you can preview the footage before you import it. Now that's a really good feature, and you can also choose how much of the footage you want to import, so you might only want half of it, you see. Now as you can see here, we've got 3 tabs. We've got effects control. Once you select a clip in the timeline, the effects will come up here. And audio mixer. You can mix the audios from all the audio tracks. We'll just go back down to here, the default. There's also the preview window at the top right hand corner. You have some play options and a few other things, but we'll get to that a bit later. The timeline is at the bottom, pretty much the same as every other timeline in all editing programs. It's a bit different with the audio tracks being at the bottom and the video at the top. In Sony Vegas you have the video at the top, audio, then video, audio, video, audio, but this one's a bit different. And on the bottom left we have all the effects, which include transitions, video effects and audio effects. You've got history, which is a really nice feature. You can go back and forth to all the stuff you've done really easily without going, Control Z or Command Z. And info, if you have a file in the imported, you can look at the information here. Let's start off with the main thing, which is importing. It's very easy. You just go to the top left hand corner, right click and go import, or file, import. And the shortcut's Control I or Command I on a Mac. What I usually do is open the Finder or Windows Explorer if you have Windows, find the file and drag and drop it into the top left hand corner. I find that easier than, it's easier to find the files, you can find them first. Once you've imported it, it'll show up here. You can create folders as well, which is good for organizing. They call them bins in this program. So you can say video footage. So if you're making an example, a short movie, you could have one for video footage, one for sound effects, one for background music, one for titles. It really does save it because you can have over 100 layers at a time, and it's really hard just scrolling up and down finding the one you need. Alright, now I want to show you how to preview it before you import it. Now, to look at the source, in other words, you want to double click on the file, and it will show up here. You can drag through the mini timeline here, and you can use some of the controls here, play, stop. You can go slow and fast if you want. But let's just get to the main point, what you'll be needing. What you'll be needing is, if you want to import the whole thing, don't worry about this step, I'll just show you just quickly. Say you only want, maybe in the middle, there's an in point and an out point, you can set them here. But I rather just drag the ends. So if you drag this end, and you drag the other end, it'll turn like the purpley colour, blue colour. Now, that means I'll only import that much, that's all I want. Okay, make sure your marker is at the very start, because wherever you import it, it will go right after the marker. So we'll bring that to the start, and we'll hit this one here. Now this one will insert it into the timeline. There's also overlay, and overlay will put it on top of another footage, but we just want to import, not insert it. And once it's inserted, you can see it in the preview window now, and that's how much we chose to import. Now I'm not going to go through all these options, you can look at them yourself, I'm only showing you the very basics, you see. So the basics I use is space to play, space to pause. You can do the same thing with this button here, but it's a lot faster if you use space. Alright, now I want to show you how to split. Now to split the footage, you go Control K or Command K on a Mac, and that will split the footage. Now by default, you can just move them around freely, and they lock in place, and pretty easy, that's how I usually use it. But there's also other ways you can look at. Now just once again, it's Control Z to undo, the same as most other programs. You got some other tools down here on the side. Now I'm not going to show you all of them, I'll just show you a few of the good ones. First of all, the one that we have selected now, the arrow tool, you can just make the footage longer, shorter, both sides. Just basic editing, same as most other programs. Now this handy tool here, the second one, which is the track select tool. Alright, I'll show you an example of what this one does. First we need to copy and paste the layer, because we haven't got any other layers imported, and Control C, Control V, but make sure the marker is at the very end before you paste. Alright, I'll just do one more there, it'll cut it off anyway. Now this tool, you can drag all the files at the same time from wherever you start off. So if I start off here, everything past this point will get dragged. But if I start off all the way down here, everything will get dragged, you see? That's a really good feature rather than, selecting the arrow tool and manually selecting them all, because you might have a lot of layers. Just two more tools I want to show you. We have the ripple tool. What this tool does is it moves all your footage, so it'll keep the size of the footage, but it will still move the footage. So let's say we want to drag a little bit further on in the video, so near the end of it, it will do that for you. So I hope you understand that, it's pretty complex, but yep. Alright, I'll just show you one more tool. This is the one over here, the slide tool. Let's say the middle footage, it's, you might want it to start a little earlier without having to play around, cut in, re-importing some stuff. You just use this tool and slide it, you can make it start earlier. And it will replace it with earlier footage from the one after, or later footage on the one before. So it's a pretty cool tool, and the hand tool is pretty simple, just if you're zoomed in a lot, easily scroll through. Now to zoom in and out, you can see the controls here, or plus and minus on the keyboard. To move through frames is left and right on the keyboard, up and down to zoom in also. The purple bar at the top is the start and end point for the video, so when you're rendering, say you only want half of it rendered, you just drag that half and it'll only render that much. But make sure that's at the very end if you want your whole footage, to fully be out there. Alright, that's the first part for the Adobe Premiere Pro CS3 basic training. Check out the other part where you'll be learning how to, create titles, use the video effects, transitions, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Thanks for watching, please rate and comment, and check out my site, dylanp23.net. There'll be a high quality version of this tutorial on there, also in the description. Thanks for watching guys, see ya.